I've never seen Firefly, and I just watched episode 12, The Message. In this episode, Mal and Zoe must take the body of their old war buddy Tracy back home to his parents, only to find out he's not really dead. He's on the run, and now he's involved Mal and the entire crew. For me, this episode really just solidifies what we already know about most of the characters. There is a tiny bit of new information, but by episode 12 now, we have found a groove and we mostly know what to expect. I'm sure there will still be some surprises, especially in the movie. But for now, I really feel like, okay, this is who they are. And this episode is really just displaying that for us. For instance, I'm going to start with Book. This episode did nothing but scream, Book is a spy. Tracy is on the run from an unsanctioned group of Alliance soldiers, and it's because of Book that we find that out. He knows that they haven't been making transmissions. He's checking Federation stations and if they're calling backup. Like, he is doing some serious investigating. It's really him that kind of saves the day this episode. We know that Shepherd Book is much more than just a shepherd. We know that he has some kind of backstory with the Alliance, and that episode is just really solidifying that for us. In regards to Kaylee, I think Simon really hits it on the nail when he says, you find the light in everything about Kaylee this episode, because that is who we have come to know Kaylee as. We know Kaylee to be incredibly open to love. She's in touch with her feelings. She doesn't let what happens to her change her, and she proves that again in this episode. Even after she's betrayed by Tracy, she reaches out and she holds Simon's hand. How many times has Kaylee been held hostage so far, and she is still so kind and sweet? In my opinion, that's incredibly admirable, and it's in line with exactly who we know Kaylee to be. Jane is often used throughout the show as the comedic relief, and this episode was no different. He had some pretty good one liners, as usual. We do learn about Jane's family, that he has a sick sister at home, and I did see a comment saying that Jane is so money hungry because he has a sick sister at home that he sends all this money home to. Would that be nice if it was true? Yes. Can I establish that from just this letter exchange? No. I would love to believe it. I know you guys love Jane, so let's hope it's true. I do have to give Jane the shout out though, because he was able to communicate with Mal with just a look to get Kaylee out of that situation, and that was pretty impressive, so I can see why Mal keeps him around. Now, Zoe, we did get to learn new information about, which I love. You guys all know that I have been dying to see more Zoe without Mal or Wash and learn more about Zoe in general. I loved seeing Zoe in the war. I loved seeing her in stealth mode. She was a total baddie. It was interesting to see her tell Tracy, like, look, if you get caught again, I'm just going to watch. She was definitely a more ruthless version of Zoe than we know now. Tracy even makes the comment that he's surprised to see Zoe smiling. He's surprised to see Zoe married. So she has changed quite a bit. Favorite Zoe scene of the episode was definitely when she shoots Tracy and he's like, you shot me. And she's like, damn right. What a woman. You can say a lot of things about Mal, and one of those things would definitely be that he does not shy away from a problem. The war has obviously changed Mal as well. He's more of a gun toting cowboy, and then we see him as the more reserved Mal, the captain. The war changed him. That's kind of a whole big thing of his character, right? He definitely had a pep in his step during the war that he's missing after, because the loss of the war really deeply affected him. This episode essentially puts Mal through an emotional meat grinder, and you, as the audience, get to go with him. He finds out his fellow soldier is dead, then he's surprised, he's awake, and then he gets betrayed, and then he dies again. Poor Mal has to go through all of these feelings. He essentially has to grieve Tracy twice. You can really feel Mal's anger, his sadness, the fact that Tracy didn't trust him to figure it out, angry that Tracy is using him. I'm sure he also feels bad for him, but mostly Mal is pissed because Tracy decides to involve the crew. And we all know that that's the line that Mal doesn't cross. When Mal says, Tracy, what are you doing? Like, kudos to Nathan, because that delivery, you can hear the hurt. Like, poor Mal, he's, why are you doing this? And he tells Tracy, like, you murdered yourself. You panicked. Why would you do this to me? He's disappointed that Tracy has gone down this road. He mentions that Tracy has probably had a hand in the trails of bodies that he's left. And then Tracy dares challenge Mal, like, how many bodies have you left behind? And Mal says, they weren't trying to help me. Like, I was trying to help you, and now you're going after my crew. The ultimate betrayal. Mal also knows what it's like to be a soldier. He knows what it's like to come home from war. So it's his anger is almost like very subdued. He's very angry and you can feel it, but he's not necessarily outwardly angry at him. I would be remiss if I didn't say that this episode did make me a little angry and a little sad just because of the VA services that we have in the United States and how veterans are treated. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But obviously, there were parallels to that in this episode. Tracy is one of many soldiers who fought the war only to find out they still had some battles to fight at home. Did I want to slap Tracy? Yes, especially the second time watching it and then hearing him be like, Kaylee, I can't imagine anything happening to you, and then immediately betraying her. I had to work hard to put myself in Tracy's shoes and kind of take off my protective Kaylee cap and my love of Zoe and not hate on him because of what he does to them, but really try to see things from his point of view. Are his actions excusable? No, but I do see that he was panicking. He really did think he was going to die. He thought he had no more options. He made terrible, rash decisions because of panic. And I think that all of us can relate to that in some way. Obviously, not on that scale, but just to have a little bit of empathy for Tracy. Overall, this was a very up and down emotional episode with a heavy subject matter that ended in a beautiful scene in the snow. It was incredibly sad and I did cry. It definitely wasn't my favorite episode. I know it was a lot of your favorite episodes, and I do see why. I see the emotional ties. I see what Mal goes through. So, no hate, to each their own. I only have 2 episodes left. Next up is the one you guys have been talking about a lot, episode 13, Heart of Gold. I think someone said this is a Nanara heavy episode. I have had some comments about watching the movie live. It would definitely just be like me on my phone pointing at the movie, and I wouldn't even be able to pay attention to talk to you guys. I don't know how I would do that, but if anyone is interested in me doing that for real, I will try to figure it out. We can set up a time. I don't know. Let me know. As always, thank you for watching.